Friends, we have gathered here today to discuss the proposed police bill which is being mooted in Jammu and Kashmir. Enough is known about this bill to characterize it as a draconian and anti-democratic law. But we have to see the context in which this bill is being now proposed in Jammu and Kashmir. We have already seen how various draconian laws have been used in Jammu and Kashmir and other parts of the country. We have been demanding that the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, which is in force in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, be annulled or rescinded. And you also have laws like the Public Safety Act in operation in Jammu and Kashmir. Nearly 3 years ago, when the youth of Kashmir were on the streets protesting, we saw how under the Public Safety Act, hundreds of them, including juveniles, were arrested and kept in jail under the Public Safety Act. Today in Jammu and Kashmir, the situation has further deteriorated after the hanging of Afzal Guru. And it is in this background that the Jammu and Kashmir government has now brought up this bill. It is ironical that the bill is supposed to bring about police reforms, and in the name of reforming the police system, what is being sought to be done is to give the same powers, some of the same powers which are there in the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, which gives the army impunity to act. That impunity is now going to be given to the J&K police. I don't want to go into the provisions of the bill. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware of it. But providing for special security zones and giving the police untrammeled powers to act, even bypassing the civil authority. All this is going to further strengthen the repressive security structures in Jammu and Kashmir, which is exactly what is not required in Jammu and Kashmir today. After years of efforts, the situation has led to a sharp decline in the violence and militancy. And when the UPA government should have taken some meaningful measures to initiate a political process, a dialogue and a political settlement, this police bill indicates that the same approach of dealing with the people of Jammu and Kashmir through the security apparatus and the security structures of the state will continue. This is an ominous sign. And this also reflects the overall situation in the country, where in the name of countering terrorism, more and more anti-democratic and draconian measures are being put in place, which leave the entire question of fighting terrorism in the hands of the security agencies, and also a steady undermining of the democratic rights of citizens and civil liberties. We already have a situation in our country where scores of Muslim youth are rounded up every time there is a blast or a terrorist attack, they are kept for years in jail, and then the courts finally, when they get around to dealing with these cases, acquit them. And also we have the instances of the courts passing clear strictures about the fabrication and the way the police have implicated falsely youth in these cases. We are right now trying to get the government to accept responsibility by when all such innocent persons are arrested and kept in jail for varying periods of time. The state should accept the responsibility for compensation. Secondly, an accountability where clearly it's shown that the police officers concerned have misused their positions to fabricate cases and falsely implicate them. This is something which requires to be done all over the country. It is not a question of Jammu and Kashmir alone, also the question of the protection of the democratic rights of citizens of this country. And just as in Jammu and Kashmir, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act is being utilized all over the country, as we had apprehended, to suppress dissent and to also round up so-called suspects in such terrorism-related cases. Unfortunately, a big chunk of the political spectrum and the political parties in our country, the moment national security and terrorism is mentioned, they are prepared and willing to accept or adopt any law or measure without understanding or realizing the consequences of such draconian measures. We are seeing that constantly in Parliament today, and the mainstream media, the corporate media is whipping up this hysteria every time there is a terrorist attack or violence anywhere in the country. But it is important immediately that the J&K police bill be stopped. This bill is still not yet been taken up in the assembly in Jammu and Kashmir. I think that there is widespread opposition developed against this bill, and I think we should step up our campaign and opposition to this bill. Apart from our ongoing fight to see that Armed Forces Special Powers Act does not apply in J&K, it is hypocritical on the part of the Omar Abdullah government, which has been asking for the repeal of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act from various parts of the state, to, on the one hand, speak out about the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and on the other hand, introduce a bill which will replicate the provisions and the powers of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act for the state police. In the situation that is there in Jammu and Kashmir today, I think that it is important that this protest be not take place not only in Jammu and Kashmir, all over the country. I think all the democratic forces should get together to demand that this bill be scrapped, and the other draconian laws and provisions which are applicable in Jammu and Kashmir also should be rescinded or changed. That's all I have to say. Thank you.